This is the final, part 3 of a series of videos on how to tell your grandmother you're a fundraiser. We left off partway through challenge number 2, and we're just about to talk about the solutions. So let's jump back in and find out what we can do about the fact that we're an unregulated industry. It's no wonder that scandals happen, and you are hesitant to tell your grandmother that you're a fundraiser. So now let's turn to the solutions. How do we mold fundraising into a regulated industry? First of all, we have to support existing or create new associations that begin to create a hard framework of standard best practice. Some of those things I noted that we lack. We have to define our work with hard measurement. We have to report regularly to the collective, the fundraising industry. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm starting to define a process of self-regulation. We have to establish discipline and remedial processes for complaints or concerns. In other words, we're moving towards self-regulation before anyone else forces us to. And by the way, we have to educate our boards on all of this. We have to then mature as an industry and define our industry the right way in a very comprehensive way. Otherwise, other people are going to step in and try to define it for us. That is the solution on an organizational level. Personally, and encourage developed accreditation to high standards. Learn all aspects of the business personally. Act to a high standard of the profession and the ethics of the profession. And create a profession that only allows individuals to work one-on-one with prospective donors if they have demonstrated these standards and work diligently to maintain them through continuous education. For instance, put more teeth and broaden the scope of CFRE and make it mandatory before you're allowed to be in front of a vulnerable person. Have strong disciplinary procedures with personal complaint provisions. Set up that personal complaint mechanism and start to turn around the public view of the charitable sector. For instance, like a doctor or a dentist or a financial planner or a lawyer or an engineer, make that also a professional fundraiser. Take these steps. Challenge number 3 is we're unclear personally about our jobs. I want to take you back to the first video where I showed you a survey that we did that showed the number one concern, overwhelmingly, by fundraisers. They never want to be seen as manipulating or trying to convince a prospective donor. That sentiment tells me clearly that we are unsure about our jobs personally, for all sorts of good reasons. I know fundraising. I know where we get ourselves, and I understand the organizational pressure to produce gifts. We get caught up in that conflict. Let's talk about the profession at a personal level then. It's a very, very demanding profession as an individual with a very complex skill set. If we look at them, we have things like, you have to understand the charitable tax code. Just look at the array of skills here. It's a little daunting. We have to understand complex case needs. We have to know our organization in and out, what it needs, what it's going to need. That's a whole body of knowledge and understanding that we must have with us at all times. Then, on the other side, we have to be friendly, personable, and caring. Think of the skill sets here. And finally, we have to be knowledgeable, intelligent, and empathetic. That's the sum, I'm just scratching the surface of the skills required to be a professional fundraiser. I'm going to venture here and say broader than almost any other profession. What do we do about it? How do we start to provide a solution to this? We have to set personal standards. Personally, just between you and you. It starts with you. And in many ways, in your heart. Commit yourself to lifelong training. We want to be recognized as an esteemed profession. We have to earn it. You must be trained properly in the technical side of our business. You have to look at your own personal behavioral skills. That's looking in your mirror very carefully at yourself. You have to keep totally up to date with donor trends. For that, I turn to the work of Penelope Burke. She does annual research, and she asks very pointed questions of both donors and fundraisers to keep track of the trends in our industry, really to answer the question, what do donors want? We have to look at the values that you live by. I'll reiterate one that came across clearly. Commit to yourself that you will never manipulate or try to convince a prospect to make a gift. You have to find another way to do it. You have to act with total honesty, respect for the prospective donor, and compassion. Tough skill sets to put all together. But that's, if we want to elevate our profession, we individually have to assume these responsibilities and goals. We have to look at our skills. We have to practice our skills. And we have to get support in a group way to do it. We need feedback constantly to look at the real essence of fundraising and how we're doing at it and how we can get better. And finally, look at accreditation. If it's not through SAFE-RE, let's develop a new type of accreditation that takes into all of these. CFRE is basic knowledge of the industry. It doesn't get into personal skill sets. We have to broaden that and come up with the appropriate accreditation to measure that and put a stamp on it. So the solution then, those are some of the solutions to being very clear personally about our jobs. We've developed the Empowerment Dialogue Academy to do just that. That's a series of courses that work at an extremely deep level, both the values of professional fundraising, the knowledge of how to move a donor through a decision process without ever manipulating. In other words, just have supporting the donor, empowering the donor to do what she or he wants to do and getting the gift. Because we have to get the gifts. I'm not being naive about that. And we've actually developed, if someone does all of the courses, we do have an accreditation, the Empowerment Dialogue Certification. So if someone is in Empowerment Dialogue certified, it's a clear signal that they've spent the time and energy going through a comprehensive learning process and also being tested thoroughly in that process. We must work then individually to make ourselves part of what I call a noble profession, because I believe fundraising can be one of the most noble professions in our society. Think of that. Once we have defined our jobs personally, who we are, how we want to act, we can then become the best we can be. and tell this to your grandmother? That's my cursory look at a very complex question. Please give me your comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for engaging. I'll see you on the next video.